Hello all, and welcome to Sounds of Her Love. Last time we gave Ceri a book that we got back in episode 1. Episode 1 of this run. We went to the library, did pretty much the same things as we did the first run. And now here we are back in her room. Ceri rests her glasses on her nightstand, then takes a seat on her bed. The pink, love heart embellished bedding gives off a girlish vibe. I still feel as if they suit her. She herself holds a downcast expression, the smooth skin of her hands clutching her knees tightly. It'd be a cute pose if she wasn't plagued by the sorrows of her past, no matter how recent they may be. Although saying that, a thin gap between her thighs is visible, leaving her underwear within view. I tried to avoid it earlier, but as Ceri starts talking, it'd be rude of me to look away from her. Well, then sit down beside her or something. Put an arm around her. For what? Seems out of place for me to ask. Ceri must have a lot on her mind she wants to say. Must want to say, though I am confused by her gratitude. She thanks me a lot, too often maybe, but this time there's surely more of an important meaning behind it.
For offering to help. It really made me happy.
Isn't that what a friend should do?
Friends. That's right. You're important to me.
Ceri goes on, letting her emotions flow out from within.
When we first met, I was nervous. It wasn't even that long ago. Do you know why? Why I held myself back?
No, but surely you can see that you've improved. You can talk to me fairly easily now.
It's still there. On the inside. The lack of self-confidence. Even with strangers. People who don't even know me. Always get that impression.
Ceri still acts as if she hasn't improved. I wouldn't know what she's feeling on the inside, so I can't be one to judge. Maybe it's just me she's gotten better with, which would be a reasonable assumption. I'm the only person she converses with that isn't within her family. A group of people which is probably limited to just her father. It must have been painful.
It never used to be like this. Though I was always a quiet person. In the past, I never really had a good social life. There was this one girl who never really liked me. Thinking about it now still makes me feel sick and angry. It was 2 years ago.
I want to ask her, why didn't she speak up for herself? Though actually asking it would be rather spiteful. A lonely girl trying to study for an exams. It would have been quite a stressful time. Knowing the education system, they wouldn't have done much for her. Or didn't. I don't know if she had spoke to any teachers.
The year after, I was pulled out of school. By my father. He knew something was wrong. So I spent the year at home. I told you I was ill, didn't I?
So that was a lie?
It was. Sorry.
Accepting her apology would be wrong. She had a pretty good reason to do so.
After it all, I felt nervous. I couldn't socialize. I feared a reaction. If I went through that again, I wouldn't know what to do. Then I came back and met you.
So it wasn't easy for Ceri to open up to me. It almost seems as if I forced her with how quick it is all gone. From a different perspective, I wouldn't be standing here now if she didn't want to get along. Nobody would outright refuse any interaction. It was just hard for her, for an understandable reason. It makes me feel happy that she had found what she had been looking for.
That girl had gone, so I went back. But I was still scarred with loneliness. Everyone knew me from before and stayed away. But you were there, and you gave me an opportunity. That's why I want to thank you for becoming my friend. You mean a lot to me.
Ceri stands from her bed, finishing by giving me her warm-hearted regards. It's a thing which she has always done during the time we've known each other. She is usually quite polite. This, however, is something much more than that. Something special, both to her and to me. Thank you. I'm glad I could be there for you. You're an important friend to me, too. I told you before, didn't I? Ceri nods and smiles, wiping the melancholic expression clean from her face. It's a wonderful sight. To know that our friendship means this much to her, it really makes me happy.
Thanks.
The pair of us stand together in the center of Ceri's bedroom, basking in the presence of the other. Around us is silence, barring the light sounds of traffic from outside. It's a lovely atmosphere, something which makes me feel warm inside. I don't know what her father is doing, but he must have realized we've gone. Luckily enough, we're not in my house, or my father would be in here the moment we left the site.
So, I guess you got to see my bedroom.
I guess I did.
I want to see yours. Though it's probably a bit messy.
Out of nowhere, Ceri throws me a jab as she stands before me with a complacent grin. She is right, though. My room is a tip. If I ever did have the courage to bring Ceri anywhere near my family, particularly my father, then cleaning the room would be somewhere on the list on the priorities. Well, what can I say? You should take pride in your tidiness. Ceri giggles at my statement. An act of familiarity which I'm glad we could achieve. Moments ago, Ceri was recalling thoughts from a time filled with a wealth of dictionary words. Sadness, depression, loneliness. Those sorts of words come to mind. Hopefully we can change the experiences of the past so in the future she doesn't have to look back on painful memories. If you didn't have that bookshelf, I'd dread to see what your room would look like.
I take pride in my books. Thank you. Though, you're right. I like to look after them, but reading them comes first.
There's quite a lot of books there, though. Surely she hasn't read them all. Actually, take that back. She probably has. That vacant smile as she stares toward the bookcase proves it. In all fairness, she's not the only one with a lot of books in her room. I couldn't even count the number in mine. All they do is gather dust as my room continues to be treated like a storeroom by my father, cluttering the house with all his publications. Was there ever a time where he actually wrote a book? Putting that thought to the side of my mind, I glanced at the alarm clock beside Ceri's bed. Feels as if it's getting late. It's only 2 o'clock?
Oh, ignore the alarm. It's broken.
It seems as if we both had issues with faulty clocks lately. Nonetheless, if it wasn't for that, I doubt I would have met her in the first place. Realizing that I'm in fact wearing a watch, I raised it up to check the actual time. Before saying it myself, Ceri's quick to the point.
It's getting late, isn't it?
Yeah, I should probably head back soon. Can't even imagine what my sister might get up to. Ceri smiles, and that wonderful sight quickly turns back into a frown.
I'm sorry about earlier.
It's okay, Ceri. You don't have to apologize. In reality, it's their father's duty to apologize, even though I wouldn't blame him for his actions. It seems as if it's Carrie's mother who is the loose cannon. Carrie herself definitely isn't fond of her. Shall we head downstairs then?
Yes, let's.
Carrie and I make our way out of her room and down the stairs, leaving behind what is both a special and somehow depressing moment for both of us. Carrie had to recall the times she wanted to forget, but at the same time it made us closer. I now realize that she didn't even speak much about her family issues. That I can't blame her for, but it was the reason the two of us left the dining table. All I have to do now is wait until she's ready to speak about such things. Being able to help her is something I want to do. We walk down the hall towards the doorway, Carrie getting ready to see me off. I don't know where her father is, but I'll just have to speak to him another time. Thank you for tonight, Carrie.
I should be thanking you. I'm glad you came. Despite...
Don't worry about that, Carrie. It's alright. Carrie smiles warmly, holding the handle of the door in her hand. I'm sure neither of us is ready to go yet, but I have to get back home nonetheless.
I'll see you on Monday.
She blushes, leaving me to give her a smile in response. I don't think I'll ever get tired of seeing those rosy cheeks. Alright, Carrie. I'll see you then.
Bye.
Shutting the door behind me, Carrie and I are now separated. Myself feeling happy despite the cold in the evening. Her, well, I'm not really sure how she's feeling. In all honesty, I hope she's feeling better. Talking with her really made me feel closer to her, maybe even something more. I take my steps out of the garden, a pretty one at that, each flower still vibrant in the evening sunlight. Quite a beautiful sight. It is Carrie's after all. The chirping of birds, the typical sounds of the morning, wake me up once again as I slowly but steadily prop myself upright and stretch my arms out. The room is still dark, giving a contrast to my attitude this morning. Strange to think that the first thing on my mind after waking up is Carrie. Although, given the situation the other night, I can't really help it. Sure, my mind is a mess after Saturday, or the roller coaster of events which have occurred. Focusing on the positive seems the best thing to do at the moment. Carrie and I have gotten a little closer because of it, despite our discussion involving nothing but her ruminating over her painful history. I've made up my mind. I want to help her, so I look forward to being able to see her today. It is a Monday after all. I rise from my bed, deciding now is the right time to get dressed and ready for school. Downstairs, I can hear my father boasting about his business to my mother. It reminds me of my situation, how different me and Carrie really are. Time passes quickly, flowing like a river, guiding me throughout my day. I finish up my business, which involves nothing but a quick shower, brushing my teeth, and getting ready for another day at school. Heading downstairs is the next thing on the list. Walking into the dining room, I'm presented with the usual sight of my family enjoying breakfast. Even my sisters managed to make it down here before me, which is quite a rare sight. I take my place next to them in order to have breakfast. Listen, girl, if you're gonna have toast, it's gotta be wholemeal. I prefer white bread, though. Seems as if my father is arguing with my sister over what bread they like the best. I myself prefer brown bread, but joining this argument would be the most idiotic thing I could do. Times like these usually go unnoticed, the fact that I can spend time with my family. To think that Carrie only has her father is an upsetting thought. Even more so since she's probably in work when she finishes school. She must be quite lonely. Why, I was asking you a question. I turn to see my father inches away from mine, as that which startles me. Oh, what? Thinking about Ceri must have caused me to shut off the outside world. Usually I'm not involved in these sorts of discussions, so it's rare for him to bring me into them. I said, what's better on toast? Jam or honey, boy? I don't know. Jam? In all honesty, I prefer bunny better, but again, giving my own opinion would upset the situation further. See, even your brother agrees. Don't take the opinion of someone who spaces out. I was bad in the mornings. Two of them resumed their argument, with me and my mother trying to ignore the presence of the two idiots at the table. Breakfast today is the same as any other, for me. I wonder if Carrie's is having hers right now. Take a glance at the clock, the accent which sets my mind into motion once again. I'll be late for school at this rate. Is the clock still broken? It was, and I'd definitely be too early. Not anymore. I fixed it. You have a watch anyway. What does it matter? Oh, right. Well, I'm off then. Goodbye, son. All right, son. Hope you'll bring back a girl last time. Maybe the one that you met the other day. Despite my father's continuous comments about girls, it is what I'm focused on today. I deliberately decided to leave earlier than usual in an attempt to beat Ceri to our meeting spot. Well, why did you say something about being late to school? I step outside, bidding farewell to my family with nothing more than a brisk wave. I look forward to seeing Ceri, a girl I have become familiar with. The rosiness of her cheeks, the silkiness of her braids, and that cute edge to her embarrassed smile. It's not something I thought I would find when moving schools. The street is quiet. It usually is around this time. I left just before the rush hour, and recently I find myself trying to get to school a lot earlier than before. Maybe there's a reason for that. That reason, though, isn't there when I reach the end of the street. This is the place where I first met Ceri, and the place we agreed on meeting each other from now on. Ceri, though, isn't here. Granted, I did leave earlier just so I could be here before her. If I wait around a bit, I should be greeted to the cute side of her being shocked to see me. Leaning back against the wall, I rub my brow as I take the time to think about the situation between us. On Saturday, I was privy to her life behind closed doors. Having to be involved in this dispute between parents with the additional sense of loneliness. Thinking about it really makes me sad that she has gone through so much. Bullying, a divorce, seclusion, all of that. And then there's me. I take a look at my watch, its reflection in the sunlight almost blinding me as I squint to make out the numbers. Time has gone by fast, with the dial telling me that it's been about a quarter of an hour when we're supposed to have met each other. Thoughts fly through my head as I ponder over why she could be so late. If I waited any longer, then I wouldn't be able to make it to school on time. She were to turn off after I left. Well, it hurt me. Leaving Ceri behind is something I don't want to do, but I can't afford to be late either. Ceri's probably ill. That's the most likely scenario. I decide to carry on forward, taking myself further down the series of streets towards school. A state close to silence soon becomes infused with the sounds of students bustling to the school gates to begin their day, just like me. Unlike them, I have someone in particular on my mind right now. These people weren't there for Ceri when she needed it. All they did was ignore her, casting her away. It's sad that people can judge you based on how they see you, rather than what's inside. Ceri herself, wherever she may be, has had a hard time. I keep telling myself over and over, repeating it as if it's the times tables I learned back in elementary school. Ceri must be ill. Could there really be another reason for her absence? Nevertheless, she seems like the type of person that would give me a call to tell me she would not be in. She hasn't done that. Another cause for worry. I I push forward into the school grounds. It's weird to think this is only the 7th time I had come to school alone. The rest of the time, I was with her. Arriving in class just short of the bell, I sit down at my desk as usual. The best thing I can do now is go about my day as I normally would, but I don't think I'll be able to dissipate the thoughts of Ceri. Hey, Paul, do you know what lesson we have first thing? Hey, Paul, do you know what lesson we have first thing? The classmate stands before my desk. I'm pretty sure this is the guy from before who's really keen on the sandwiches they sell here. I think it's beyond biology. Alright, thanks, man. At least my dad is just as quick as he came, giving me with a sense of sickness now that I realize I'll have to put up with lessons for a while. I'm not particularly fond of my biology teacher either, but I have more important things to focus on right now. All I can do is try to get through this. Lunchtime arrives, the bell doing more than signaling that. It shows that I've got nobody to eat with. I doubt Ceri has or will show up today. Rising from my seat, pain shoots through my back as I straighten it. I've been slumped in my chair all morning, and luckily enough for me, I never got asked any questions by my biology teacher. As I approach the door to the classroom, part of me hopes to find Ceri there waiting for me. The entire set topped off with a cute blush, her silky golden braids lying loosely over her shoulders, more importantly, her adorable smile. Even though I've only gone just over a day without seeing her, it's still an issue. Despite all this, there's no sign of Ceri as I leave the classroom to make a beeline to the cafeteria. Maybe that 100% Welsh beef can give me the energy to make it through the rest of the day. Taking my place in line at the cafeteria, one which is surprisingly short, I idle around waiting for my turn to order. Coming here still gives me thoughts of Ceri. It's where we really got to know each other, not necessarily where everything started. It's because I decided to speak to her on a whim that we've managed to get this far. It's right, we might have decided to talk to her, even if I hadn't given her a library card. No telling how the conversation would go. But then again, maybe, that incident would have made her not so much a familiar face, and maybe we wouldn't have spoken to her. It's hard to tell. That was only a week ago. Thinking about it makes me happy at what we've achieved over the past 7 days, yet eventually trails back to the thought of Ceri's issues. Soon enough, the line to the cold food section shortens again and again as we inch forward. One after the other, people grab their food and leave to eat it. Something I would be doing with Ceri if she was here. I decide to grab a sandwich quickly enough to get the last beef one, leaving me to find a place to sit in the cafeteria. The real problem is if I have nobody to eat with, kind of like how Ceri was. Wonder if she would have approached me if our situations were reversed. With her personality, I couldn't really expect much. Even though she is a kind person, she wouldn't have had the audacity to approach someone she had only met that morning. I decided the best thing to do is to just go back to class. Probably find someone to talk to there. The corridor is empty as I walk back towards my classroom to eat lunch. Most people now would either be in their class or in the cafeteria, so it's rare to see any students walking about at this time. Making my way past one of the classrooms, I notice the door open behind me as someone calls out, "Hey, wait! You're Paul, right?" I stop in my tracks and turn around to find one of our year's form teachers calling out to me. I think he's in charge of Ceri's class. "Yes, I am, sir." "Sorry to stop you. I was wondering if you would know the reason as to why Carradine is absent today? We haven't received a call from her parents, so I thought you might know where she is. You've been hanging around with her lately, that is. No, I don't, sir. Sorry. Has this guy been watching me and Carrie? Guess it's kind of his job as a teacher to track people's progress. It is quite notable that one of the most introverted students suddenly made a friend. Well, though it still aggravates me that he's looking into our business. Okay, no worries. We'll give your parents a call later if we don't receive any word from them. I'm not sure this guy knows of the relationship between Carrie's parents. He heads back into his classroom, leaving me by myself in the corridor. Thought of giving Carrie a call myself crosses my mind as I make my way back to my classroom. Cool air and the sound of cars and the presence of the local populace going about their daily lives surrounds me. Walking home from school has always been like this. Just time to think whilst I rush to get back so I can go about my own life. It makes me wonder whether things would be different if Carrie had come to school today. We did agree to walk to school together, but none of us said anything about walking home together. Not sure why we haven't. Being able to support Carrie is something I want to do. After what her teacher had told me, I really don't think she's ill. Surely her father would have informed the school. They're never too keen on people's missing lessons. I've had the experience of being berated for it before. Putting my hand in my pocket, my fingers naturally rest around my phone as I realize I had it with me. I did decide on giving Carrie a call, though I'd rather wait till I'm at home before doing so. Something inside me knows the things we'll discuss won't be the same as the trivial things we both embraced before. Step by step, I trace my usual path down the street to and from school, quickly arriving home and making my way indoors. Inside, instead of the usual sounds of my father's boasting and mother's retorts, I find my sister sitting down and playing on her phone. Something she would usually do. Why she's doing it downstairs and not in the room, I'm unsure. Oh, you're back. Yes, I am. Did you get let out early or something? No, I'm just a faster walker than you. She obviously has a way to be cheeky. Where's Mom and Dad? Oh, they went out. They said they're bringing back something for dinner. Alright. Take my shoes off in the hall and I get the idea to talk about Carrie with my sister. She might be able to get a girl's perspective on it all. At least I hope. Hey sis, is there any reason as to why a girl might not come to school, despite not being ill? My sister turns her head and smirks at me, almost to mock me for knowingly asking something which would make me indebted to her. Oh, did the girl you like take the day off? Very funny. You gotta give me a serious answer. As raising my voice, my sister responds by giving me a solemn expression. I didn't mean to get loud, but right now I have more things on my mind than her jokes. Well, I wouldn't go if I didn't feel like it. That is, if I was depressed. Thank you. Sorry for shouting. I'm getting angry sense of awkwardness between us. Doing so results in getting an answer from her anyway, which isn't unreasonable given Carrie's situation. All I can do now is hoping she's willing to answer my call. It's okay. Resuming with whatever she was doing, my sister takes hold of her phone, leaving me to part ways with her and head upstairs. Before me is a room all too common, and as always, all too messy. Looking around, I realize this will be the stage upon which I begin my act to be there for Carrie, a girl who has grown on me so much over the course of a mere 7 days. The sounds of cars resonate through the open window, causing me to look outside and stare back with a melancholic expression. Is that really what I look like? The image is beyond me as I continue to listen to the melodic rhythm of people within the city going about their lives. Here I am, hesitating to call someone who means so much to me, someone who has changed me. I was under the assumption that after meeting Ceri, I was able to bring her out of her shell. She told me otherwise, but I find myself thinking about how much she has done for me. How much we've been there for each other. Neither of us have even realizing it. The pounding of my heart acts as a timer, urging me on as I clasp the phone in my hands. All I have to do now is press the button. A pang of nervousness causes me to sweat as my breathing sharpens, unsettling my mind as I continue wanting to get this issue resolved. With an unsteady hand, I take the move to press call. Now it is up to her to answer. The phone rings slightly longer than I would expect it to if Ceri really felt like talking. It can only be assumed that she's at home. If her phone was ever anywhere near her, she would have answered it by now. The ringing stops abruptly, causing me to feel a sense of relief, which is soon washed away when someone other than Ceri answers the phone. Hello? Who might this be? On the other end of the line is Ceri's father. I don't know how many parents would answer their child's phone, but at least I can ask him about Ceri. This is Paul. Ah, that's right. You were over here the other day, weren't you? I'm sorry about what happened. I don't usually get so worked up. There's a lot of things going on right now. All I can do is apologize for making a witness at all. I can understand. How's Ceri doing? She wasn't in school today. I thought you might be calling about that. You're a good lad, you know. I finally met this guy once and he's calling me a good lad. On the other hand, getting on his good side isn't a bad thing in any shape or form. Well, I can't imagine that Ceri wouldn't have talked to him about me. So he's got more than just that one meeting to go on. Karen is in her room at the moment. She hasn't been down in a while. That's concerning. She's locked herself in her room? I think it's because she was upset about the relationship between me and my wife. Well, she won't be my wife for much longer. It's a complicated story. Did Ceri ever mention it to you? Not in any detail. She just told me to forget about her mother after Saturday. I think you deserve to know. It'll help explain what Ceri's feeling. I don't think I'm in a position to be this involved with her family issues. Really, it's odd to think he would this willing to tell me. Listening now, though, might make it easier to understand what Ceri's feeling. I want to help her. It's something I must know. Currently, we're going through a divorce, but that should be more than apparent. After I moved to Japan, things started to get rocky between us. My wife decided to go on a holiday back to Wales. Her real intention was to get back with her ex-husband. I eventually caught wind of it after one of my friends spotted them together. She stayed there, but at the same time filed for a divorce. It's a complicated process when you're dealing with two countries. I was told yesterday that she also filed for custody of Ceri. What? Does that mean Ceri would also return to Wales? Yes. She's been upset since she doesn't want to leave. She has too much here that she would lose if she went back. It's not just me who she'd be afraid away from. Reality is too hard to comprehend. A sheepish girl faced with another challenge in her life. Having to leave behind her father and her friend in order to go back to live with a mother she has no fondness for. I knew from the beginning they wouldn't be able to do anything. Being there for Ceri still won't change the outcome, though I won't resist doing so. Right now, she needs someone there for her, even if it'll end up hurting both of us. If you want to speak to Ceri yourself, you're welcome to come over anytime. But I'm not sure how receptive she'll be about it. Feels wrong if I don't at least try to get my voice through to her. Even if she turns me away, I just want her to know I'm here for her. To know that despite the pain, the people most important to her will give back everything in return. That we care for her. That I care for her. Do you think I'll be able to come over today? I don't see why that would be a problem. Though, like I said, I'm not sure how Ceri will react. Her reaction right now isn't really stable. All that matters to me is how she's feeling, which I know is far from good. I want to reach out to her. Alright, I'll be over shortly. Goodbye. In a rush, I hang up on Mr. Irwood without giving him the chance to respond. Wasting time isn't an option. I need to get there as soon as possible. Heading downstairs, my footsteps resonate throughout the house, causing my sister to give me a bewildered look. Luckily enough, she doesn't give me an issue and goes back to using her phone. Passing through the hall, the door opens before me, revealing my parents, home from their trip out. I don't have time to make conversation, so I slip them some of the doorway, but then give me the same bewilderment look, so my sister did in the process. Where are you off to, son? I'm going to a girl's house. Upon hearing that, my father contorts his face in surprise, finally leaving with a proud smile as I set off to make my way down the street. All I should focus on is being there for Ceri, a thought which drives me as I race my way to her house. There's no real difference in the dialogue, or narration rather, I should say. In, in that, like, this time I told him about her, so, but, yeah. So maybe we can kind of think that he would assume that it's the girl I gave the book he gave me to give to her. Darkness fills the path towards Ceri's house. Spare the street lamps which guide my course toward it, a long and winding one. In metaphorical sense, that is. This week has provided me with countless ups, but I guess it's time to face the downs. Knowing that Ceri is hurting makes me feel bad myself, something which I told myself over and over. My emotional attachment to her is a big thought. Ceri's street is short, so it's easy enough to find her house. It saves me the time for looking into the darkness of the ever-looming night. The adrenaline within me rushes me further toward the door of her house. It's not necessary. I feel that controlling these emotions would be a bad thing, on top of the difficulty to do so. It's Ceri's feelings I want to prioritize right now. Getting her here as soon as possible helps me do that. My knuckles face the wood of the door repeatedly as I eagerly wait for an answer. I can see movement from the inside, that of Ceri's father as he soon comes to open the door. Since he knew we were coming, I guess he might have been waiting for that. Good evening, Paul. I won't keep you thoughts for long. Ceri's room is upstairs and to the right. Keeping things brief, Mr. Irwin gives me directions to Ceri's room, despite me already knowing them. I don't know how well it would sit with him if I told him I've already been up there, so I just thank him anyway. Thank you. Sparing no time, I rush up the stairs as carefully as I can. Wearing socks and trying to race up there would be really regrettable if I were to slip. Though being too cautious also seems like a bad idea as well. The only thing I should be caring about is Ceri. Well, it wouldn't help her too much if he did slip. Following the same path I took only days ago, Ceri's bedroom door stands before me, the gateway to a lonely, downcast girl. Knocking on it gently, my heart continues to pound in my chest as I wait for a response. Nothing. Out of instinct, I grabbed the doorknob, but despite my best effort, it won't budge. She must have locked it. Kind of expected it, but it doesn't change the fact that she's locked herself away from the outside world, even her own father. Slow movements raise my arm once again as I realize what I have to do. For all Ceri's concerned, it could just be her father knocking on the door. Hopefully hearing me as well can show her how concerned we both are. As I tap against the door once more, I make my call out to her. Ceri, it's me.
Huh?
A response. A small, yet welcome one.
What are you doing here?
Her voice is filled with nervousness over the time that we spent together. I noticed that she found it easier to speak with me as each day went on. Now, though, she sounds as if she did, just as she did when I first met her. I came to talk to you. I want you to come to school tomorrow, Ceri. I abruptly managed to stop myself from adding, I've missed you, even though it's the absolute truth. Spending time without her was different, even though that's all I knew before. I know you're not feeling good, but knowing you're like this, it makes me sad. I told you we were friends, right? I want to support you.
I'm sorry, I know. You're important to me.
You don't have to apologize. I just wanted to be there for you.
I'm not sure if I'll feel like going. It's complicated.
Only a thin piece of wood separates us as we both stand in silence. A wall between us, between our feelings. I'm not sure what I should do. I'll be waiting for you tomorrow, Ceri, where we normally meet. Good night, Ceri. On a whim, I turned myself away from her. It's a painful thing to do, but actions speak louder than words. Trying to break into her room wouldn't have done either of us any good, but telling her I'll wait for her no matter what might let her hear my feelings in a different way. I'm not sure if she responded, though she doesn't come out after me. It's odd for me to be so familiarized with her house after only knowing her for a week, but that thought doesn't stick with me and stripped down the stairs. So, how did it go? Her father stands in the hallway, showing that he was waiting for me the entire time. I don't know. We'll just have to see. They are plain and simple words, yet they hurt me so much. Having this uncertainty between us all makes me feel more bitter than anything. It's okay. Gary's usually quite stubborn. Would you be staying for dinner? I know a meal with a 37-year-old Welsh guy isn't exactly on everyone's bucket list. What do we invite for me not to offer? Did I think of this the last time he did on the last playthrough, read through? I guess that would have made him 19 when she was born. I guess that isn't too young, but I don't know. Is Ceri his stepdaughter? I mean, since he married somebody who had an ex-husband. I'm not sure if that's ever clarified. Thank you. But my parents brought something for the family just as I was leaving. I shall be quite a ruckus when I get back. It's all right. I hope you enjoy your evening, Paul. Thank you for speaking to her. It's okay. Something I wanted to do. I'll be off then. Goodbye. Ceri's father sees me off with a wave as I walk out of the Orwood household. Thinking about it now, his words don't make too much sense to me. Describing Ceri as stubborn is definitely a contrast to what I know her as. In fact, I describe her as pretty compliant. I guess things are different when you're a parent. I guess maybe it's just how Ceri acts towards me. At least I hope it is. The morning sunlight blinds my eyes as I walk towards school. More importantly, towards my typical rendezvous point with Ceri. As I get closer and closer, I dote upon what Ceri means to me. My relationship with her. It's a strange thing to think about. As time goes on, things will start to make more sense to me. As the usual corner of the street enters my vision, the shy, braided girl isn't there. It'd be wrong to say I didn't expect this, but part of me looked forward to seeing her adorable aura shimmer in the sunlight. Looking at my watch, it's still a bit early. Even if it was late, I would still wait for her. Being late to school doesn't concern me now. Cars pass me by one after another as the neighborhood starts to get into motion. Everyone on their way to work or to drop their kids off at school. It's the usual sort of thing for a weekday. Having mine be different yesterday really showed me how much I enjoyed the mornings before going to school to be able to see her. Every day of my life before had been absent of her, but meeting her really showed me how much of a wonderful person she really is. It's a shame it took her a while for her to be able to show it to someone. The clock continues to circle around and round my watch, similar to the thoughts in my mind, constantly moving but never really going anywhere. 7:35 soon passes without any sign of Ceri. While when agreeing to meet with her, I would probably embrace the experience of walking down the road around this time to see her, waiting for me with a mild smile on her face. One which I can only assume would quickly turn into a fluster as she would spot me approaching. None of that has happened though, or will happen. I can't imagine Ceri being that happy to see me. Anxiety grows within me, flowering from one of the most places for it to embed its thorns. My heart. It's been 5 minutes now since the usual time we agreed to meet, not particularly late by any standard. That is, any standard other than Ceri's. Every time we agreed to meet somewhere, despite it only happening on a few occasions, Ceri was always early or on time, more so the prior. Maybe my words didn't reach her after all. Glancing up from my watch one last time, within my vision I see a figure. Despite the morning sunlight hindering my view, it's clear the girl is walking down the street towards me. As she approaches, I can make out her hair, neatly braided, swaying in the light autumn breeze. Her attire, all too familiar to me, consists of a tan sweater which embellishes her figure. The harp insignia on her chest is quickly covered by her arms as she adjusts the red ribbon beneath her neck, blushing slightly as she looks toward me. It's Ceri. The sight brings a smile to my face. It usually would, but this time means a lot more to me than any of those ever could. I managed to reach out to her. She came. Her expression, however, does not match mine. She still carries a troubled expression as she advances further down the street. One thing is for sure, there's still a lot of work we can do before we can make things right. If that's even the right word. All of the issues, all the problems that caused the situation are still here. Ceri is still upset.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ceri. Part of me wants to ask how she's feeling, in spite of knowing the answer. I'm fine, she'll say. That's all it is. Fine. Fine is just a synonym for not good. A quick answer to get people off your case. Ceri knows how concerned I am. Prying into her feelings now would not benefit either of us. Today, I want her to feel normal, to experience a day of school like we usually would. Upsetting her by getting into the subject of her parents would just make my efforts all for naught. Instead, I opt to just usher her along with me as I begin our day of school. I think we should get going. I'm gonna be late otherwise.
Okay.
I expected her to apologize for being late, but it doesn't really matter to me. Ceri and I began our slow walk to school, despite having the clock working against us. But we're not in any rush. Dust shimmers in the air sporadically throughout the classroom, giving the day a sense of warmth as the autumn sunlight shines through the windows. All too much a contrast to the bitter cold of the morning, leaving me with a feeling of unease as the issues with Ceri still linger around my mind. Having left her not too long ago to get to class, we separated on a sour note, neither of us really saying anything, but our feelings ever so similar. Ones of sadness, sorrow, and general awkwardness. Getting her to come to school was one thing, but for her to open up to me again will be a completely different challenge. I'm going to make this day at work. One way or another, I'll have to force her to talk to me, no matter how considerate that sounds. Moving my body backwards, I stretch to alleviate the pain in my shoulders. Today is going to be long. I've gotten through lessons before just thinking about Ceri. Thing is, there's a lot more to think about now, including my feelings. The chimes of the school bell jolt me up from the slumped position of my chair. It's lunchtime, so getting outside as soon as possible is a priority. I want to meet Ceri outside her class for once. Springing up, I grab my bag and swiftly push my items into it in a disordered manner. These are things I have no time to be concerned about. Managed to be one of the first people out of the class, but it's expected that those who sit near the front will always have the upper hand. Ceri's class isn't much of a distance away. It seems that their class is still inside. Everyone in our year group is in the same corridor, so it's unsurprising to find myself joining the usual crowds who wait outside the other classes for their friends to come out. One by one, people flock out of the classroom. The entire event is quite a scene. It's already been about 5 minutes since the lunch bell rang. Just how important was their lesson? In time, the sight of Ceri greets my eyes once again. She still holds the same expressionless experience she's had since this morning. It hurts to see. Hey, Ceri, shall we go have lunch together?
Sorry, I need to catch up with some work. I'm going to copy a friend.
As soon as I opened my mouth, Ceri seemed to go into a state of shock. Her words sound untruthful, as if she forced out the first excuse she could think of. As depressing as it is, the reality is that I'm the only person she speaks to in the school. She wouldn't have the audacity to copy off someone within her class. She's not ready to speak. That's fine. The entire action itself going back on what I previously decided upon earlier. Forcing her to speak to me would probably send her into another state of shock. I'll let her go for now. Alright, Ceri. I turned around, leaving Ceri behind me as I joined the students for her class, heading towards the cafeteria. Whether Ceri minded me to object or not, I'm unsure. However, she wouldn't be able to get away from me this easily. Letting our friendship dissipate like this isn't something I want to allow. I find myself sitting in the cafeteria, clutching a sandwich in my hand. A little earlier, the guy sitting in front of me got into a fight with one of the younger students over who would get the last beef sandwich. Not really sure why these things are so popular. You enjoying that sandwich? You better me. I was wondering pretty back there. It didn't even touch you. Can't you just let me pretend for a minute? School is pretty boring, man. To be honest, he is right. Having to sit here without Ceri is quite agonizing. A distressful experience, but my entire state of mind into a flurry. Even though yesterday I sat alone in class, being here with this guy isn't much better at all. You listening, mate? Sorry, can you repeat yourself? I was saying, what if they introduced lamb into the school sandwich? There's plenty of sheep in Wales, aren't there? I want to know. I've never been. not even Welsh. No, never mind, man. It's just a thought, you know. So this guy's pretty invested in his sandwiches. The bell rings to signal the end of lunch, causing me to feel even more depressed as I know I have to face afternoon lessons. Whilst listening to the mundane talk of my classmate, I decided to try again with Ceri. The idea is to walk her home, pretty bold in itself, but I know for a fact she's not going to be compliant. Dragging her out of my hand is one option, although the action seems really dodgy and disrespectful to her. In a way, it might show her how much effort I'll put into being there to support her. What could go wrong? Never say that! You're in a work of fiction. The classroom is filled with a uniform aura of apathy as it slowly drags on toward the final few minutes. Thinking back on my idea for earlier, I need to find a way to be able to get out before Ceri. Can't be guaranteed that her class will get out late again, so I really don't want to miss her. Raising my hand, I eagerly wait for the teacher to notice. Asking to be excused for the restroom is undoubtedly the best way to be the first one out of the class. About 5 minutes till the lesson ends, so there really shouldn't be a problem. Yes, Paul? Excuse me, miss. May I be excused for a restroom break? Go ahead, Paul. It seems the teacher herself is quite apathetic toward her own lesson, sending me off in a tired and indifferent manner. I leave the classroom behind me, some classmates looking shocked after realizing my plan to get out of class before them. Turning down the corridor, I walk slowly toward Ceri's classroom. This time she's not getting away so easily. The bell rings to officially end everyone's school day. I've been waiting here for a few minutes, so in order to use up some time, I bought myself a drink. As people begin to walk down the corridor, I toss my can in the bin and continue to wait for Ceri's class to come through the door. Surprisingly, this time Ceri is one of the first people to get out of her class. Perhaps she wanted to repair the repetition of events at lunch, getting out early so she could avoid me. Unfortunately for her, though, as soon as chance arises, I grab her by the hand and make my way down the corridor with her at a quick pace. Her trailing behind me with an extraordinary sense of embarrassment, wanting to break new boundaries.
What are you doing?
I'm walking you home.
What?
Confused, Ceri continues to stumble over her words as I take her with me down the corridor. Despite her being able to let go of my hand, she shows no restraint as she allows herself to be taken with me. As we move, I notice a few stares and smiles from various people in their youth group. Even the sounds of lighthearted laughter can be heard. Different to how Ceri was treated before, I can only assume they find events funny in a friendly manner.
Where are we going?
Your house. I told you I'm walking you home, didn't I? Saying that, both of us are almost running as we pace toward the school's exit. Not as being defined while walking, but I'm still taking her back to her house. Students move swiftly out of her way as we get outside and through the school gates onto the road. The pair of us receiving the same odd looks and giggles as we finally break from the school ground. I let up my grip of Ceri's hand since the entire action still is embarrassing. More so the fact that running out of the school caused both to sweat lightly. I can trust Ceri not to run off now, so we both slow down into a brisk walk as I take her on the journey back to her house. So, did you manage to catch up with your work?
What are you talking about? That was...
A flustered Ceri walks behind me. As she tries her best to let out her words. The sight causes me to laugh, knowing that I've seen through her lie. This sort of experience I longed for. You're pretty cute. Saying that, Ceri ramps up her levels of bedevilment, causing me to lose myself in her adorable trance. I only told her the truth.
What? You really think so?
Really. Her face is ablaze with emotion as she looks toward me as a hard blush, fiddling with her hair as it entwines around her fingers.
Thank you.
She meekly clasped her right arm as we continued walking down the road in a state close to silence, neither of us deciding to continue conversation. Well, we're coming up on an hour. I think it cuts off before then, so I won't continue this episode. I will see you next time.